2025, and today is a most auspicious day, the appearance day of Srimati Sita Thakurani, this most wonderful potency of Lord Ram, his consort, who carried the weight of so much separation mood throughout the Ramayana, when she was kidnapped by Ravan, and then finally when she was again sent to the forest by Ram due to some criticism. So, such beautiful pastimes surrounding her, such potency. Sita Thakurani, her appearance day today. And also it's the appearance day of Janava Devi, the consort, the wife of Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu has two wives, Janava Devi and Vasudha, they're sisters, daughters of Suryadas. And when Nityananda Prabhu left this world, the weight of the Gaudiya mission was carried by Janava Devi. She installed and had arranged for so many deities to be made. The deities at Ketchuri, there were 6 deities there that Narottam discovered in a granary. And Janava Mata, she was the Mahant of that great festival, the first Gorpanim festival organized by Narottam Das Thakur. So Janava Thakurani, Janava Devi, is the most powerful personality, Nityananda's consort. So today we're begging for her mercy to go forward in our development of bhakti. And it's also the Tirubhav of Madhu Pandit, who discovered the beautiful Gopinath deity in Vrindavan. The Gopinath deity was on the bank of the Jamuna. And Madhu Pandit, he carefully took that deity and installed that deity in the Gopinath temple we have today in Vrindavan. This is one of the 7 principal temples of Vrindavan. So Madhu Pandit, when you go to that temple today, just in the entranceway, you'll see a whole samadhi room of Madhu Pandit is there. So a great devotee and follower, of course, of Sachinandan Gaurahari. So these 3 personalities today we're celebrating, 2 Avirbhavs, Sita Thakurani and Janava Devi Mata, the consort of Nityananda, and Madhu Pandit. So all glories to these personalities. We posted on our WhatsApp thread the Chaitanya Vani from Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, if you haven't already read about these personalities. So I want to keep up our reading of our Caitanya Caritamrta, so I won't go over these personalities in detail, but you can read them please for yourself. But we've mentioned them, we've remembered them. So we'll begin our Caitanya Caritamrta Adi-lila, chapter 3. Agyan timirandasya gyananjala shalakaya chakshu unmilitam jena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahaja Virupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhuveka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavala Sarupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuruna Bharatinokalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundaratu Tikatam Basdipita Sadahradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandana. No Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammaya Tayo Tarabo Vinedustam Sarvaputam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vina Aparada Lakshay Shiptas Chakarmadi Taranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde namaste charanarvindam. Bhajami radam aravinda netram. Smarami radam madurashmitasyam. Vadami radam karuna baradram. Tato mamanastikatina kapi. Tavaivasmi najivami tvaivina. Iti vignaya radhe tvam naivam charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya-lila, Pravishta Om Asto Tarasata Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya-lila, Pravishta Om Asto Tarasata Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'm also offering millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of our dearmost Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Pad, and to all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varg and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees who are listening today. Vansha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So coming to our subject of Caitanya Caritamrta, Chapter 3. This is about the external reasons for Mahaprabhu's appearance. So we've been through the spiritual masters. We've established that Mahaprabhu is that Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then in this third chapter, we began by explaining, Krishna's Kaviraj explains this verse, Anapita Chirim Chirat. This Chirim Chirat means not for a long, long time. So there was great detailed description of the day of Lord Brahma and exactly when Mahaprabhu appears in the 7th Manvantara of the 28th Dwarva Yuga. And then it was described, there was different avatars of Krishna have been described by Gargamuni to Nanda Baba when he was doing the naming ceremony in Vrindavan. And Mahaprabhu's body is greatly described, and this Nyagroda Parimandal was described, that 4 cubits in length, his body was very tall personality. And I posted a explanation of the cubit rather than the span, which I inadvertently said yesterday. And then it's describing his complexion is not blackish, but is golden. And I posted the beautiful verses from the Radha Vinod Tattvastikam of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, describing these colors in a very beautiful way. So it's very, very detailed where we're coming through. So it's helpful, of course, to keep notes as we go through, because by the time we get to the end of our Caitanya Caritamrta, if you don't have any notes, you won't remember anything where we've come from. And we have a list that Rasamanjari can post of all the chapter titles in this Caitanya Caritamrta. It's most helpful to have these, all the chapter titles of the Adi-lila, Madhya-lila, and the Antya-lila. Just like in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have these chapter titles, and it highlights the topics of each chapter, so that eventually, by the time we've finished our study of this Caitanya Caritamrta, if we can remember these chapter titles, we'll capture this great granta in our hearts, no doubtedly. So take this file of these chapters, and I would encourage you to print it up and just to have it on hand regularly, to become familiar. We want to become familiar with these topics, not just hear them one time, but to, it's our life, this meditate, especially on Mahaprabhu, the Yuga avatar, giving the Yuga Dharma. So we need to honor with all respect his pastimes, his teachings, and his life, etc. So we'll begin today from text 69.
Narayanastvam nahi sarvadehinam atmasya shakila loka sakshi narayanogyam narabu jilayanat takchapi satyamna tavaiva maya.
Translation: O Lord of Lords, you are the seer of all creation. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. So this is Lord Brahma speaking to that cowherd boy who's just sitting with a piece of yogurt in his hand. And Lord Brahma has just stolen the cowherd boy, is testing the mystical potency of Krishna, not knowing his identity. But now he's thinking that this must be my Supreme Lord Narayan. So we're starting from Narayan to accept the origin of creation. But we understand also that beyond Lord Narayan, through the second Chatuvyuha, then the first Chatuvyuha from Sankarshan, coming to eventually Brajendrananda and Shyam Sundar. So all the way down, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is making this very strong platform of pure Siddhanta. Very simple, really. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. In other words, the Supersoul, Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Are you not, therefore, my father, Narayan? Narayan, because Lord Brahma is born from Garbhodakshay Vishnu's navel. Therefore, he considers Garbhodakshay Vishnu actually to be his father. Narayan refers to one whose abode is in the water, born from Nara, Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And that Narayan is your plenary portion. All your plenary portions are transcendental. They are absolute and not creations of Maya, even though they touch Maya, because that's what they're manifested for, these three Purusha avatars. Karanadakshay Vishnu is touching with his glance, igniting the entire material creation. Then Garbhodakshay Vishnu is manifesting from his navel Lord Brahma, who is in contact with this illusory Mayic energy. So we're getting a picture of the powerful nature of this Mayic energy, but it doesn't touch these personalities in the sense that they have zero attachment to this illusory energy, even though they are the instigators and it is manifesting from them. They were manifested by Lord Narayan to produce this material world of illusion, etc. So, but they don't have the slightest attachment for this. Even though they have a fragrance of connection with this Mayic energy. And then, of course, beyond Narayan, the other side, in the full Paravyom spiritual world, there is not even a scent of this Maya, which will be explained by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is totally immersed, completely immersed in the entire vision of the spiritual reality to give us this personality of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is giving this personality to us through his words. Purport. This verse was spoken by Lord Krishna to Lord Krishna by Brahma in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.4. Yes, in 10.13 is the Brahma Vimohan Lila. This is when Lord Brahma steals the gopas and cows. And in the 14th chapter, he's so astonished and amazed at the mystical potency that this apparent little cowherd boy can display. When he comes, remember we spoke that all these Vishnu Murti personalities are manifesting from his body, billions of them, and they're all being worshipped by all the other personalities of the world. All the directions are worshipping them, the elements are worshipping them, time is worshipping them. Everyone is worshipping all these billions of Vishnu murtis. It's an astonishing sight that completely stuns the 11 senses, it's described, of Lord Brahma. He climbs down from his swan carrier and he comes onto the earth, and with his 4 crowns he prostrates himself at the lotus feet of this apparent child, this cowherd boy, Brajendranandan Shamsundar. But he's thinking that he's Narayan because he only knows Narayan as that supreme controller. So he's calling him his father. Because Lord Brahma, what qualification does he have to understand Goloka Vrindavan? He speaks about Goloka Vrindavan to some degree, but his actual qualification, adhikar, doesn't extend that far. So now text 70. So
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jalashaya Antaryami Ye Narayana Seyotama Amsatumi Mula Narayan.
Translation: the manifestation of the Narayan who predominates in everyone's heart, as well as the Narayan who lives in the water, Karana, Garbha and Shira, is your plenary portion. You are therefore the original Narayan. So this is as far as Lord Brahma's understanding goes at this point. Text 71.
Anga Shabde Angsa Kahe Seho Satya Hoy Maya Karya Nehe Savachid Ananda Maya.
Translation: the word Anga indeed refers to plenary portions. Such manifestations should never be considered products of material nature, for they are all transcendental, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Purport: in the material world, if a fragment is taken from an original object, the original object is reduced by the removal of that fragment. This is when matter is being described. When you take something from matter, then something is detracted from that matter, that source. Whereas in the spiritual world, it's not that way. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not at all affected by the actions of Maya. He's even beyond, so much beyond. The Isopanishad says, Am Purnam Adapurnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. This is the translation. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. This is the nature of pure spirituality. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. In other words, all these personalities that are being manifested from ultimately Rajendranandan and Shamsundar, they all complete within themselves, and none of it is detracting from the original complete whole personality. In the realm of the Absolute, 1 plus 1 equals 1, and 1 minus 1 equals 1. Therefore, one should not conceive of a fragment of the Supreme Lord in the material sense, because our eternal spiritual consciousnesses are not yet manifested. These topics are inconceivable to us. Only when our consciousnesses become spiritualized can we understand or comprehend to some degree these descriptions, just like the nature of eternality. We have absolutely no experience of eternality in this material world. Nothing is eternal in this material world. Everything is temporary. Our bodies are temporary. Everything around us is temporary. So how can we possibly comprehend that which is eternal? We can't. So we submit to the teachings of our great acharyas with faith. It's this faith principle that gives us the appreciation of these exalted spiritual topics. Without strong faith, and that faith is increasing daily. The more we hear these pastimes, the more we practice our sadhan, etc., our takoji seva, our various sevas that we're doing, then the more we're going to be able to comprehend. And in fact, not even comprehend, that's like understanding. We're going to be appreciating with devotion. This devotion, which is natural to the self, will start to inspire fully our connection with the Lord. Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavan yaschasmi tatvara. Only by devotion can I be understood. Tesham satatam yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yeno mam upayanti te. That only by devotion, constant devotion, can one understand me as I am. These beautiful, Bhagavad Gita is saying all these verses very beautifully. In the spiritual world, there is no influence of the material energy or material calculations of fragments. If we say we've fallen from the spiritual world, this is atheistic mentality. It is, because it means you don't appreciate the perfectness of the spiritual world. You think there's anomaly in it. You think there's fault in the spiritual world, therefore we can fall from it. No, this is completely erroneous. And Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada never ever said this. And remember the verse, it's in 7:135. This verse, and it's in the purport to this verse. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is saying absolutely conclusively, it is a fact that no one ever falls from Vaikuntha. It's in relationship to Jai and Vijay being cursed by the Kumaras to come here, which is lila. It's not that they're coming here to become conditioned souls and then work through their karma or something like that. Totally erroneous. It's a great tragedy that this misconception has been propagated for many years, because no other acharya supports this misconception. Certainly not Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. You read it for yourselves. 7:135, the first paragraph of the purport at the end. In the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that the living entities are his parts and parcels. Mamaivam saj jiva loke jiva bhuta. What's that? Jiva bhuta? Sanatana. Mana shashtandrindiyani prakriti stani karshiti. The living entities, this is from 15.7. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. We are vibhinamsa tattva, separated parts, and it's described as fragmental parts. That means that we have that divine quality and aspect within us. This is the quality understanding of achintya, beda, abeda tattva, that we have that divine element within us. And at the same time, we are very, very infinitesimal, tiny, 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 in compared to the vibhuchit, the complete whole Krishna. So understand all these topics nicely, and then our consciousnesses will be very peaceful when we hear these descriptions. There are innumerable living entities throughout the material and spiritual universes, but still Lord Krishna is full in himself. To think that God has lost his personality because his many parts and parcels are distributed all over the universe is an illusion. That is a material calculation. Such calculations are possible only under the influence of the material energy, Maya. In the spiritual world, the material energy is conspicuous only by its absence. There is no material energy in the spiritual world, so how could we possibly have fallen from there? We couldn't. And if you think that, it's like the entire equation is actually incorrect from the beginning. It's like if you're thinking 1 + 1 = 4, it's wrong. It doesn't equal 4, it equals 2. You understand? If you're trying to do a Pythagoras theory or calculus, something like that, and you start off in the premise that 1 + 1 = 4, your entire calculation will be out. So if you think that we actually fell from the spiritual world, your entire practice and understanding of reality will be completely incorrect. In the category of Vishnu Tattva, there is no loss of power from one expansion to the next. No loss of power. Advaita Acharya is Vishnu Tattva. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Vishnu Tattva. Nrsingadev Chaturdasi is coming this Sunday. He is also completely Vishnu Tattva. On all Vishnu Tattvas, we fast. And we don't compromise with the public. Just because the public might be coming to our temple, whatever, we should not decide, oh, we'll give them grains. Let them also fast from the grains on Advaita Acharya's appearance day, for example. On the Shringa Chaturdasi, it's only Ekadashi preparations. All Vishnu Tattva, we fast. Radharani is not Vishnu Tattva. She's Shakti Tattva. We don't fast on Radharani's appearance day, but we fast on Baladev, Nityananda. They are Vishnu Tattva. Advaita Acharya, Vamanadev, Varaha, etc. We fast on those days. From one expansion to the next. Any more than there is a loss of illumination as one candle kindles another. From one candle to the next candle, there's no loss in the second candle. It's exactly the same brightness, but there still is an original candle. Thousands of candles may be kindled by an original candle, and all will have the same candle power. In this way, it is to be understood that although all the Vishnu Tattvas, from Krishna and Lord Chaitanya to Ram, Nrsinga, Varaha, and so on, appeared with different features in different ages, all are equally invested with supreme potency. Another example to see is the moon has 16 phases, but actually the moon, if you have a high-speed telescope, is always the full moon. It never diminishes. It only diminishes because of the shadow of the sun. And it makes us think, oh, it's the full moon or half moon or quarter moon, no moon, etc. It's all in its shadow coming from the sun. So the full moon is always full. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is always full. Demigods such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva come in contact with the material energy, and their power and potency are therefore of different gradations. Yes, it's described that Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they have 55 qualities. The Jiva has 50 qualities, but in very small percentage. This is described at the end of the 13th chapter of Jaiva Dhamma. You can mark these points. The 13th chapter of Jaiva Dhamma, all the qualities are described very clearly. And there's 50 qualities in the Jiva, to a very small degree. And then Lord Brahma has 55 qualities to a certain percentage. And Shivji has 55 qualities also, but to a greater percentage. Then Lord Narayan has 60 qualities. And these qualities are enumerated. And then ultimately Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar, he has 64 qualities. He has this Rup Madhuri, Prem Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, Leela Madhuri. He has these 4 extra qualities that Lord Narayan doesn't have. This is important to see these clear gradations of the Supreme Lord. And yet they're manifesting the same potencies. But for Lila, Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar shines forth brilliantly. No one has the same pastimes, all is Venu Madhuri, Lila Madhuri, Roop Madhuri. No one has these pastimes to the same degree as Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar. Text 72.
Advaita Nityananda Caitanya Raduyanga Angara Avyaya Gana Kaya Upanga.
Translation. Sri Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu are both plenary portions of Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are the limbs, angas, of his body. The parts of these two limbs are called upangas. Text 73.
Angopanga Tikshana Astra Prabhur Sahite Se Sabo Astra Hoya Pasanda Dalite.
Translation. Thus the Lord is equipped with sharp weapons in the form of his parts and plenary portions. All these weapons are competent enough to crush the faithless atheists. This is not just the personality of the atheist, it's the atheist within the hearts of the conditioned souls. There are those demons externally acting on that platform, but also the demons within the heart, especially in Kali Yuga. It's described in Satya Yuga, the demons lived on different planets. In Treta Yuga, they lived in different provinces. In Dwapara Yuga, they lived in different bodies. But in Kali Yuga, the demon and the Surya and the Deva live in the same body. We have this duality within the jiva that we have to purify strongly. Purport. The word pasanda is very significant here. One who compares the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the demigods is known as pasanda, a pasanda. He's thinking that Krishna and the demigods are the same, because the demigods are tremendously effulgent, they're tremendously powerful, and many think, especially here in India, Ganesh is God, Shivji is God, Durga Ma, they'll worship that Mayak Durga Ma as God. All these different manifestations of the demigods they're worshipping as the Supreme, because they're ignorant, because they haven't been educated sufficiently. Pasandas try to bring the Supreme Lord down to a mundane level. Sometimes they create their own imaginary God and accept an ordinary person as God and advertise him as equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So many God-men here in India in particular. In the West, I don't think it's so prominent. It's more subtle perhaps in the West. But in India, it's very overt. It's very on a stage, so to speak. They act out as if they're God, just like in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time. This Bishakshena was saying that he was Mahavishnu. Bhaktivinoda Thakur furiously arrested him, and he ended up dying in jail, this Bishakshena, once his hair was cut off. So the great acharyas will reveal the great demons that are stalking around the planet, especially in Kali Yuga. They are so foolish that they present someone as the next incarnation of Lord Chaitanya or Krishna, although his activities are all contradictory to those of a genuine incarnation, and thus they fool the innocent public. The public is so easily fooled. We all have these mobile phones today. We can all be hypnotized immediately into thinking all kinds of crazy things, whatever they want to program the demons. It's very easy for them to put these programs through, psyops they're called, completely hypnotize the public. into thinking that they should do something that is absolutely bad for them. So we won't go into all the details, but if you're awake, hopefully you'll realize these psyops that the demons are conducting continuously to engender fear, constantly trying to put out fear, because fear gives one a desire to take shelter of the government. And then the government can control the people. Fear and control, these are the two qualities of the demons. See it clearly. Don't be neglectful of understanding the position of Kali Yuga. And if you see it like that, then you'll see all the beauty simultaneously beyond that. Once you sight the enemy, then you can conquer it, so to speak. You don't have to be influenced by it. One who is intelligent, and who studies the characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with reference to the Vedic context cannot be bewildered by the pasandas. Pasandas, or atheists, cannot understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord or transcendental loving service to the Lord. Number one, they can't understand his pastimes. They think a little boy lifting Govardhan Hill, this is just completely mythology. Fictitious, totally. What to speak of engendering devotion to that personality. It's tragic that they're being misled away from this and enticed towards the grossest aspect of the illusory energy, which is material pleasure, headed by entertainment. So entertainment perhaps is the biggest industry on the planet today. Everyone's minds are so blasted out with different pollutions, etc., that they just take shelter of intoxication, which includes entertainment, bombarding the brain with entertainments. One who is intelligent and who studies the characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Pasandas and atheists cannot understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord or transcendental loving service to the Lord. They think that devotional service is no better than ordinary fruitive activities. For example, if the devotees are distributing prasadam, this is the greatest weapon, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada said, that the devotee has to influence the consciousness of the conditioned souls, is Mahaprasad. So we should distribute Mahaprasad. But an atheist is thinking, oh, we're just doing charitable work, or this is just pious activities. They can't understand it. Of course they can't understand it. They're not educated. In Bhagavad Gita 4.8 confirms, however, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees saving the righteous and chastising the miscreants, parityanaya sadhunam vinashaya chatuskritam, always curb these nonsensical atheists, nonsensical, no sense, just pure illusory, mundane greed, imagining that they can be happy materially in this world. What an illusion, what a massive illusion that is. We're not even in our own pure spiritual identities. How can matter actually enjoy itself? It's called Jad Ananda. Jad means dead, dead pleasure. It doesn't go anywhere. It might be exhilarating for a moment, and then it completely just goes into the utmost chaos. Who is happy in this world? It's said like a fool is happy. Someone who doesn't think very much can be happy. But who else is happy? It's saying clearly this in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 6th verse of the 2nd canto. Savai pumsam paro dharma yato bhaktir hoisajay ahoitiki apratiyata ye atma suprasidati. This satisfaction, the sages have asked in the 1st chapter, how can one find satisfaction in this world? And Sutta Goswami is answering, Savai pumsam. Pumsam is humanity. Savai pumsam paro dharma. This is the highest dharma for humanity is that worship of Adhokshaja, that Supreme Lord. And if that worship is performed uninterrupted and unmotivated, then it will bring the greatest satisfaction. Yeyatma suprasidati. But that satisfaction actually is of the supersoul becomes satisfied. It's not the jivatma becoming satisfied, it's the supersoul that becomes satisfied. Then automatically the jivatma will be satisfied. My Gurudev explains that particular verse in that way. Miscreants always want to deny the Supreme Personality of Godhead and put stumbling blocks in the path of devotional service. So we ourselves are miscreants. We ourselves create our own stumbling blocks with our weak, uncontrolled minds and allow the influence of this material energy to completely disrupt our pure vision. It's our responsibility. The Lord sends his bona fide representatives and appears himself to curb this nonsense. Text 74.
Nityananda Goswami Sakshat Haladar, Advaita Acharya Goswami Sakshat Ishvara.
Translation. Sri Nityananda Goswami is directly Haladar, Lord Balaram, and Advaita Acharya is the personality of Godhead himself, in fact, in the sense of being Mahavishnu. Not this, I'm talking about this Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar all the time, because this is where Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is going to carry us through to explain the complete identity of Sachinandan Gaurahari. He's not just Narayan. He's that ultimate original personality, because he's going to give us that prem from that original world, from that Goloka Vrindavan, not Vaikuntha prem. He's giving Braja prem. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but we should understand why I'm commenting all the time on Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar. There is a gradation, there is a line of speciality. That full Madhurya Ras is only in Vrindavan, not in Dwarka, not in Puri. We have to understand these principles conclusively. Text 79.
Srivasadi Parisada Sainya Sangalan, Due Sena Pati Bule Kirtana Kariya.
These two captains with their soldiers, such as Srivas Thakur, travel everywhere, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Text 76.
Pasanda Dalanavana Nityananda Rai, Achira Hunkara Papa Pasandi Pralai.
Lord Nityananda's very features indicate that he is the subduer of the unbelievers and his great consort, Janavamata, who we're remembering today. Today is her appearance day. When we say anything about her, a portion of her mercy will definitely influence us, and she will give us her mercy. Don't ever think these are just historical figures. He reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. When we resonate the names of these personalities on their Avirbhav or Tirabhav day, this is why Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj wanted us always to mention these personalities. But here we're talking about Nityananda, so we can mention his consort, Janavamata. Lord Nityananda's very features indicate that he is the subduer of all the unbelievers, because he's so beautiful and radiant and powerful, so powerful. All sins and unbelievers flee from the loud shouts of Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya was the Mahant in Shantipur, in Bengal there. And Nityananda was, together the two of them, they planted the seeds of Mahaprabhu's mission in Bengal, which spread to Vrindavan, which came from Bengal to Vrindavan. The Bengali mendicants, Bengali sadhaks, etc., they all the Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, all these personalities, Srinivas Acharya, Shyamananda, Narottam, they all came from Bengal to Vrindavan, bringing with them the teachings from Mahaprabhu. And then they expanded that teachings from what is just Shuddha Bhakti, which is principally what Advaita Acharya was distributing. Nityananda was distributing the same, but both of them were pointing in the direction of Mahaprabhu, who would give that Braja Prem. There's a sequence to it, there's a link to it. We have to be very clear, remembering this sublime connection with all these personalities. Text 77.
Sankirtana Prabhaktarka Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sankirtan Yagya Tanre Bhaje Danya.
If someone can sing these verses beautifully, they're so poetically sounding. I don't sing, I'm not Bengali, obviously, but a Bengali singing these verses, if you get an opportunity to hear them, are just such music. Translation. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya is the initiator of Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. One who worships him through Sankirtan is fortunate indeed. Text 78. We already heard that verse. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sango Pangasta Prasadam Yagya Sankirtanam Priye. This yagya of this age, Sankirtan. Yajantihi Sumedishaha, that's intelligent men will perform this Sankirtan Ras. Text 78.
Seta Sameda Ara Kubodhi Samsara Sarva Yagne Hoite Krishna Nama Yagna Sara.
Translation. Such a person is truly intelligent. It amazes me that these personalities, like Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, would write 4,000 verses, all poetically metered perfectly. If we understand the Bengali, like I just said, they all rhyme, like Shukadev Goswami also, in his poetic presentations of Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses. Every single verse a song, a beautiful rhythmic sounding song. This is the transcendental language of the higher worlds. Such a person is truly intelligent, whereas others who have but a poor fund of knowledge must endure the cycle of repeated birth and death. Of all sacrificial performances, the chanting of the Lord's holy name is the most sublime. And by direct perception, pratyakshavagaman dharmyam, by direct perception, we can perceive that. I think every single person who's listening today, who has been chanting Hare Krishna and can remember when they first began chanting Hare Krishna, their very initial introduction to chanting Hare Krishna, at that first instance, what bliss enveloped the consciousness for us to continue to chant. After so many years, we don't find it, Bhaktivedanta Swami uses the word hackneyed. Hackneyed means repetitive, becoming a little boring, a little tedious. The Hare Krishna mantra is never repetitive or boring or tedious or hackneyed. A beautiful word, hackneyed. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada comes up with this language to create an impression. It's not hackneyed. This sound vibration of the holy name continually generates ever fresh, newer appreciations. Why? Because ultimately it's eternal. And the nature of eternality is that there's no past or future, it's all the powerful present. And the powerful present is entirely dynamic. It's entirely ever fresh. This is the nature of the Hare Krishna mantra. It's entirely, its actual swarup, we can say, is eternal. So we're connecting with that swarup, which is eternally fresh. Krishna himself is described as Naveen Krishna, ever fresh Krishna. We said the other day how Radha many times looks on Krishna and thinks, who is this amazing boy? I've never seen him before. Just extraordinary, because she's sitting on the edge of eternality, on the edge of, she has no remembrance of the past, in one sense. And she's not thinking about the future in the way we are conditioned materially, but she's seeing it ever fresh. This eternal conception or vision brings us to the very edge of our focus. It's something that is so extraordinary and astonishing. And the holy name possesses that same eternal potency. Such a person is truly intelligent, whereas others who have but a poor fund of knowledge must endure the cycle of repeated birth and death. Of all sacrificial performances, the chanting of the Lord's holy name is most sublime. Purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the father and inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement. One who worships him by sacrificing his life, money, intelligence, and words for the Sankirtan movement is recognized by the Lord and endowed with his blessings. This is all we want, is the blessings of our acharyas and the blessings ultimately of the Lord, to go forward to understand the nature of pure devotion, which is there already, a concomitant fact within the heart, which we're endeavoring to wake up. Kriti sadhya bhavat sadhya bhavsa sadhanavida nitya siddhyasya, nitya siddhya. It's eternally nitya siddhyasya prakatam, prakatam kriti sadhyate, in potential. It's there within the heart, waiting to just be ignited by association with someone who already is on fire. And then our fire will wake up in response, just as wood has the dormant element of fire within it. But it can never be ignited until it comes in contact with another lighted object. Right? It's the same. All others may be said to be foolish, for all sacrifices in which a man may apply his energy, a sacrifice made for the Sankirtan movement is the most glorious. We make so many sacrifices for our families, for our material well-being. Consider how many sacrifices we have to make in life. But if we make this sacrifice our priority, to serve the mission of Sachinandan Gaurahari by taking part in his Sankirtan as much as is conceivably possible, and when that is not available, then be chanting our mala, our japa, because that's all we have is the holy name. Text 79. Koti ashvamedha eka Krishna namasam ye kahe se prasandi danda tarayam. One who says that 10 million Ashvamedha sacrifices are equal to the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna is undoubtedly an atheist. He is sure to be punished by Yamaraj. What a statement. An Ashvamedha sacrifice was considered previously as the highest way of purification. All the great kings we read about regularly, Prithu Maharaj performed these Ashvamedha yagyas. Who else? There are others there. Bali Maharaj was performing an Ashvamedha yagya. Throughout the Bhagavatam, there's many Ashvamedha, because it's described that if one performs 100 Ashvamedha yagyas, one can take the post of Indra. This is why Indra often steals the horse. So we hear the story of Saga Maharaj when Gangadev descends, and Indra stole the horse and put it in the ashram of Kapila Rishi, Kapila Muni. So these Ashvamedha yagyas were being performed previously, thinking that that was going to give the very highest benefit and welfare. But it's saying here that if 10 million Ashvamedha yagyas, 10 million, Maharaj Yudhishthira also, yes, thank you, Maharaj Yudhishthira also, he performed this Ashvamedha yagya, all thinking that that was the highest sacrifice. And yet, we're saying here that if you think the holy name is equal to that, 10 million, you'll be punished by Yamaraj. So, Purport. In the list of the 10 kinds of offenses in chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hare Krishna, the 8th offense is Dharma Vrata Tyaga, Hutadi Sarva Subha Kriya Samyam Api Pramada. One should never consider the chanting of the holy name of Godhead equal to pious activities like giving charity to brahmanas or saintly persons, opening charitable educational institutions, distributing free food, and so on. I commented yesterday on institutional mentality, considering sometimes it's like pious activity, just in a sense of just feeding the poor, rather than giving them dedicated Mahaprasad and wanting to elevate their consciousnesses so that they'll chant Hare Krishna. Otherwise, it comes in the bracket of simply pious credits, pious activity. One should never consider the chanting of the holy name of Godhead equal to pious activities like giving charity. Oh yes, brother. The results of pious activities do not equal the results of chanting the holy name of Krishna, or getting an idea, materially even, of the efficacy, the power of this chanting of Krishna's name. Krishna's name is non-different to Krishna. Namna Chintamani Krishna Caitanya Caritamrta. This name and Krishna are non-different. The Vedic scriptures say,
Gokotitanam grihane kagasya prayaga gangodaka kalpapasha yagna chutam mere suvaranadanam govinda kirtena samam satamasai.
even if one distributes 10 million cows in charity during an eclipse of the sun, lives at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna for millions of years, or gives a mountain of gold in sacrifice to the Brahmanas, he does not even earn 1/100th part of the merit derived from chanting Hare Krishna. This is phenomenal. When you flip back through the Puranic histories, through the Itihasyas, etc., as we've just said, you read all of these great sages and kings, these Raja Rishis, they were only performing these sacrifices. This is what they were doing with their time. In Dwapara Yuga, the Yuga Dharma was sacrifice itself. That was the Yuga Dharma of the age. But this practice, what it can do in relationship to the holy name, is absolutely minimal. So what an incredible wealth we have in the treasure of this holy name. And we have such short lives. We need to capitalize on this treasure that we have and absorb it as full as possible in the short, brief span of our births. We described many times how the devas, the demigods, they're queuing up to take birth in this Kali Yuga. This is phenomenal. There's a very powerful description here of the power of holy name. In other words, one who accepts the chanting of Hare Krishna to be some kind of pious activity is completely misled. Don't be misled by thinking that anything is more powerful than chanting Hare Krishna. Don't be misled thinking opening temples is more powerful than chanting Hare Krishna. I said yesterday that we might open so many temples, but unless the chanting of Hare Krishna is being propagated strongly within the walls of that temple, then that wall is just useless. That building is useless. I said the expression form, that's the temple, and function. What is the purpose? What is the function of that form? That the function is to spread Nam Sankirtan exclusively. Not simply just to run out and canvas for people to come, but to actually appreciate it ourselves. And then by our own appreciation, it will naturally attract other sensitive, intelligent people to perform the same yajna. Of course, it is pious, but the real fact is that Krishna and his name, being transcendental, are far above all mundane, pious activity. We can't see this unless we've purified our consciousnesses to some degree and connected to some degree with transcendence by chanting this holy name ourselves. Doctor, heal thyself. Physician, heal thyself. Pious activity is on the material platform, but chanting of the holy name is completely on the spiritual platform. Therefore, although pasandis do not understand this, pious activities can never compare to the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Text 80.
Bhagavata Sandarbha Grantare Mangalacharan Shloke Jiva Goshane Karichena Vyakhyana.
Translation. In the auspicious introduction to the Bhagavat Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami has given the following verse as an explanation. Text 81.
Anta Krishnam Bahir Gauram Darisitangadi Vaibhavam Kalo Sankirtanai Sma Krishna Chaitanyam Ashrita.
Translation. I take shelter of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is outwardly of a fair complexion, but inwardly Krishna himself. Inwardly he's Krishna himself, but externally he's golden because he's taken the complexion. He's Krishna who's taken the complexion. He hasn't become the complexion. He's taken the, he's carrying, he's wearing the complexion. In this age of Kali, he displays his expansions, his angas and upanangas, by performing congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. This chanting is called Sankirtan Ras. This was the Ras Lila in Navadvip. Navadvip is Gupta Vrindavan, so everything that happens in Navadvip is mirrored from Vrindavan itself. So where is the Rasa Lila in Navadvip? The Rasa Lila takes place during the Sankirtan Ras that Mahaprabhu was performing at Srivasangam. This is the Sankirtan Ras. This is the Braja Ras in Navadvip, Sankirtan Ras. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami has placed the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam quoted in text 52, Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sangopangastavarsa, this verse, as the auspicious introduction to his Bhagavat Sandarbha or Sat Sandarbha. He has composed this verse 81, which is in effect an explanation of the Bhagavatam verse as the second verse of the same work. So this verse, Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam, is reflected in this verse that we've just said, Anta Krishnam Bhakya Goram. This is how Krishna's Kaviraj is linking this up. The verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was enunciated by Karabhajan, one of the 9 great sages, and it is elaborately explained by the Sarva Sambhadini, Jiva Goswami's commentary on his own Sat Sandarbha. When we're quoting these verses from Bhagavatam, from these Navayogendras, this is capsulating the Abhideya Tattva. The 11th canto illuminates the methodology, how to attain the beautiful smiling face of Krishna that's just been described in the 10th canto. First of all, we have the object of desire, which is the 10th canto. And then we have the explanation of how to connect and attain with that. This is in the 11th canto. So many times these 11th canto verses are being given here in a mood of Abhideya. Where are we going here? Atar Krishna refers to one who is always thinking of Krishna. This attitude is a predominant feature of Srimati Radharani. Even though many devotees always think of Krishna, none can surpass the gopis, among whom Radharani is the leader in thinking of Krishna. Why is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada talking so much about Radharani throughout this Caitanya Caritamrta if he's a cowherd boy? This is another interesting phenomena of Kali Yuga that just has arisen to consider him. Perhaps he's both, but he's certainly a maidservant of Srimati Radhika, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Why would he sing Jai Radha Madhava practically every single day? Why would he chant Radhe Radhe constantly? Sridham, Subal, Sakha, chant those names in the same way. Even though many devotees always think of Krishna, none can surpass the gopis. Prabhupada is writing this. None can surpass the gopis, among whom Radharani is the leader in thinking of Krishna. Radharani's Krishna consciousness surpasses that of all other devotees. She is the Ashraya, she is the complete embodiment, the highest pinnacle of devotion to Krishna is Radharani. Lord Chaitanya accepted the position of Srimati Radharani to understand Krishna. Lord Chaitanya, Krishna himself, wants to understand what Sri Radhika sees in him that makes her embrace a tamal tree, roll in the dust where she sees a peacock feather, become completely stunned when she just hears the sound of Krishna's flute. Krishna doesn't know the excellence of his own prem that he's manifesting. He wants to taste that. Radharani experiences a higher bliss, this Madanakya Mahabhav, 2 stages higher than Krishna. Krishna experiences Mahabhav. Srimati Radhika, she experiences Ruda and Adi-Ruda Mahabhav, 2 stages higher, because she's tasting the sweetness of Krishna. Therefore, that taster is experiencing a higher bliss than the object of taste itself, the Vishaya. This is why Mahaprabhu has appeared, to taste himself. Radharani's Krishna consciousness surpasses that of all other devotees. Lord Chaitanya accepted the position of Srimati Radharani to understand Krishna. Therefore, he was always thinking of Krishna in the same way as Radharani. Why is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here in Radhakund, sitting facing Shamakund? He's not sitting in Radhakund. His Baitak, his sitting place, overlooks Shamakund, because Mahaprabhu is experiencing the mood completely, fully of Radhika enjoying Krishna. Radhika only wants to be with Krishna. Krishna wants to be with Radhika, but Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Radhika, so therefore his darshan is Shamakund. He's sitting there in Shamakund. That's where we find him today, his Baitak, his sitting place. By thinking of Krishna, by thinking of Lord Krishna, he always overlapped Krishna. It's an interesting sentence that Prabhupada writes. By thinking of Lord Krishna, he always overlapped Krishna. So he went over Krishna. Because he's Radharani himself. And he's thinking of Krishna in the form of Radharani. So he's overlapping himself. You understand? Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who was outwardly very fair, with a complexion like molten gold, we describe molten gold, the speciality of molten gold, simultaneously manifested his eternal associates, opulences, expansions, and incarnations. He preached the process of chanting Hare Krishna, and those who are under his lotus feet are glorious. So we'll stop for today. So these are beautiful, beautiful descriptions of the glories of the devotees, as well, of course, as the glories of Sachinandan Gaurahari, as well as the glories of Srimati Radharani, who is none other than the Bhav and Kanti of Sri Krishna himself. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritya Hladini Shakti Asmat Ekatmanam Apibhuve Deha Vedam Katoto. Radha and Krishna have become one. Ekatmana, they have become one, for Krishna to relish these moods of Sri Radhika. And these moods will be distributed down to the conditioned souls if they're intelligent enough to pick up this simple process of simply vibrating his holy names.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, go to Hari Bol, Itai go to Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, go to Hari Bol, go Premanandi, Hari Bol. Janava Mata ki jai, Srimati Sita Thakurani ki jai, Shri Madhu Pandit ki jai, Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Go Premanandi, Hari Bol. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavnibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.